Welcome. We are so thrilled to have you here with us today for this deep dive. I mean, it's genuinely a privilege to share this time and space with you, our listener, to just, explore something completely unexpected.
Yes, a very, very warm welcome to you. It is a true pleasure to have you joining us today. We have an incredibly eye-opening journey ahead of us.
I really do. So today our mission is to sort of peel back the layers of Helsinki's cultural landscape, Finland's capital, right?
Yeah.
But we want to look way past the glossy tourist traps and really figure out how the city actually functions on a daily basis.
Right, getting past the postcards.
Exactly. And to do that, we've pulled together a really diverse stack of sources for you. We're looking at premium city guides from Salute Guide, official city event schedules, a comprehensive live music guide from the Ras Gazette, and this deeply researched academic paper from Tampere University.
And I think what makes this particular stack of sources so valuable is that it gives us, a complete cross-section of the city. We aren't just looking at what the mayor's office puts in a shiny brochure.
Yeah, no PR spin today.
Right. We are examining the raw lived experience of the residents. We're looking at the architecture they build, the rules they actually enforce, and the art they create when no one is looking.
Which is always the best kind of art, honestly. And that cross-section is going to take us on a really interesting path today. We're going to start indoors, looking at the massive institutions the city officially funds.
The big stuff.
Right. Then we are going to step outside into the summer streets to see how the public interacts in the daylight. And finally, we are going to explore what happens when the sun goes down and the underground takes over.
Sounds perfect. Let's look at that official institutional level first, because, the city's priorities are usually carved right into its architecture.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at the Salute Guide's highlight of Amos Rex, which is a major private art institution, you immediately see that Helsinki approaches public art differently. It isn't some imposing, dusty marble building that you have to walk quietly through.
Right. I was looking at the photos of this place in the sources. Amos Rex is largely hidden underground. But the roof of the museum is made up of these massive, almost like futuristic domes that just bubble up right through the pavement of the public square above it.
Yeah, designed by JKMM architects. And those domes aren't just skylights for the museum below. They are physically integrated into the pedestrian experience up top.
Like people actually walk on them?
Oh, yeah. People sit on them, kids skateboard over them, teenagers use them as meeting spots. You don't just walk past the museum. The museum physically alters the topography of your daily commute.
That is so cool. And you see a similar kind of philosophy with Kiasma too, right? Their museum of contemporary art.
Exactly.
It's entirely focused on interactive, engaging performance and modern trends. It's not just passive observation. But the scale of all this is what really caught me off guard when I was reading the data.
It's massive.
It really is. According to the city's official data, Helsinki facilitates over 20 million cultural experiences a year.
20 million.
Yeah. For a city of its size, that is just a staggering amount of civic engagement. Which I guess brings us back to the power drill.
Ah, yes. The Helmet Library Network. This is one of my favorite details.
It's so good. So for you listening, imagine walking into a pristine public library, bypassing the rows of fiction, and checking out a heavy-duty power drill.
Sounds made up, right?
It totally sounds like a fever dream. But the Helmet Network has 38 libraries and 2 mobile libraries. And the sources explicitly state that these are designed to act as living rooms for the residents.
Which is a very specific term to use. Living rooms.
Right. You can borrow books and audio, sure, but you can also reserve community rooms, and you can literally check out tools, like a power drill.
Think about the institutional philosophy driving that kind of decision, though. During a Finnish winter, it is dark and freezing for a significant portion of the day.
Oh, yeah. Very dark.
So indoor public spaces aren't just a nicety. They are a vital necessity for mental health and community cohesion.
It completely upends how I traditionally think about a city investing in culture. Usually I picture like a mayor cutting a ribbon in front of a gallery where people just stare quietly at expensive paintings.
Right, the very traditional highbrow view.
Yeah, but offering a power drill, it's like treating culture as an open source toolbox. It's a functional utility.
And that functional utility breaks down the barrier of who actually gets to participate. By placing power drills right alongside contemporary literature, the city is signaling that culture isn't just a luxury commodity reserved for the elite.
It's for everyone.
Exactly. It's a functional, accessible part of daily urban life. You are empowered to build, to fix, to create, and to learn, all under the umbrella of free city services.
So the city clearly views culture as a tool for everyday life. But what happens when the snow finally melts? Because once those famously long summer days arrive, I'm guessing the residents don't want to be inside the living room anymore, no matter how nice it is.
No, definitely not. The entire cultural apparatus basically shifts outdoors. The city's cultural centers effectively flood the neighborhoods with free events, mostly from June to August.
And it is heavily decentralized, which I found really interesting. The sources point out the Malmi Summer of Events, which takes place at Alamami Square, well outside the main tourist center.
It's really embedded in the local communities.
Yeah, and the sheer variety of what they're putting on the street is wild. You have Arn Alligator playing music for toddlers in the afternoon, and then later that same day, you have the aggressive punk rock sounds of Nurkatapalu or hip-hop from Hassan Maikal.
They are actively engineering spaces where multiple generations and just radically different musical tastes are forced to overlap in a shared public square.
Forced to mingle, yeah. But it goes beyond just outdoor concerts. There are some deeply specific, pretty intense theatrical performances happening right out in the open.
Right, like the ones at the cultural centers.
Yeah. For example, at the Kaisa Cultural Center, there's a solo performance by Sana Lepinen called Kalakuningatar,
which translates to the handcuff queen, or escape artist.
which sounds intense. It's described as a highly physical, intense theatrical exploration. And at the Stoa Cultural Center, there's a piece called Jeljet by Portateri.
And these aren't your typical breezy summer acts.
Not at all. These are challenging artistic expressions happening right alongside, like casual partner dance lessons where beginners are welcome. It's all such a mix. And it all builds up to Helsinki Day in June, and then the massive Night of the Arts in late August.
The logistics behind all this, must be immense to coordinate that much public programming.
Right. It is incredibly vibrant, but it is also meticulously planned, curated, and officially sanctioned by city government, which it makes me wonder.
Wonder what?
Well, if the city is officially approving and organizing all this free culture on the streets, what happens to the unapproved culture? When citizens decide they want to use the public space to express themselves without asking for a permit, how does the city react?
Oh, that is where the tension lies in any urban environment. A city's identity is shaped just as much by what it attempts to eradicate as what it chooses to fund.
Exactly.
And if we want to understand the unapproved street culture of Helsinki, we really have to look at the graffiti scene.
Okay, yes. We have a fascinating academic paper here by Malin Fransberg from Tampere University. And just a quick note for you listening, we're not taking any political sides here on the debate between vandalism and private property rights. We're just impartially reporting what this deeply researched urban ethnographic study found.
Right, we're just looking at the sociological mechanics of it.
Exactly. So this paper details a very specific, very intense clash between the city and its residents over the visual landscape.
It focuses heavily on the Stoptorial project, which translates roughly to Stop the Smudges.
Which honestly sounds kind of mild, but the reality was anything but. From 1998 all the way to 2008, the city of Helsinki waged an absolute war on graffiti. They implemented a strict zero-tolerance policy.
And this wasn't just, city workers quietly painting over tags the next morning.
No. The research details how they utilized private security companies to actively hunt down writers. They increased criminal penalties, they marginalized the rights of anyone involved, and they basically treated the art form as a severe criminal enterprise.
It was a decade of intense, almost militarized social control over the visual landscape of the city. But the core of Fransberg's sociological analysis isn't just a historical timeline of a ban.
Right.
The research explores how this zero-tolerance policy physically altered the gender dynamics and the psychological makeup of the subculture itself.
Wait, let me stop you there because
Great.
I want to make sure I understand this fully. I get why a hyper-aggressive police response creates an angry, hardened subculture.
Sure.
But the paper specifically notes that during this time, graffiti became highly masculinized, viewed as a heteromasculine endeavor. Meanwhile, street art was viewed as femininized.
Yeah.
What is the actual difference in how these two things are created that leads to those kinds of labels?
That's a great question. It comes down to the mechanics of the art and the environment required to produce it. Think about traditional graffiti tagging, bombing, painting stylized letters very quickly on a train or a highly visible wall.
Right, hitting it and running.
Exactly. By its nature, it is illegal, it relies on speed, and it is heavily fueled by adrenaline and physical risk-taking.
especially if you have private security guards actively chasing you through a train yard at night.
Precisely. The zero-tolerance policy raised the stakes so high that the act of painting became physically dangerous. To participate at all, you needed a massive tolerance for risk, for physical confrontation, and potential arrest.
Wow, okay.
And culturally and sociologically, those traits, aggression, territoriality, high-risk behavior, aligned heavily with hypermasculinity, particularly in that era.
So because the city made the environment incredibly hostile, it acted almost like a filter. It's like spraying a broad-spectrum pesticide on a garden.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
You know, you kill off all the delicate plants, and only the most aggressive, toxic weeds survive to take over the soil. The policy didn't eliminate the desire to paint, it just ensured that only the most hardened, aggressive people were left holding the spray cans.
And Fransberg's research documents the internal dialogue of that subculture during the zero-tolerance years. The narrative became completely dominated by expressions of male-centric rage.
Yeah.
The study even notes the integration of homophobic discourses as the remaining writers postured to prove how tough they were against the private security forces.
That is so intense, and the researcher actually dug through nearly 2 decades of court records to back this up. Right?
It's very thorough data.
From 2000 to 2018, they looked at 24 specific court decisions on graffiti cases at the Helsinki Court of Appeal. Out of all those vandalism cases, guess how many women were held responsible?
Let me guess.
0. 0 women. It was entirely young men facing the legal consequences.
But contrast that traditional graffiti with street art, as the paper defines it. Street art often involves pre-planned stencils, wheat pasting characters, or using legal designated walls.
So it's much slower.
Right. It is much more focused on the aesthetic outcome rather than the adrenaline of the illegal act itself.
And because it didn't require fighting off security guards in the middle of the night, it didn't require that same hyper-masculine posturing.
Exactly. But here's the critical turning point in the research.
Yeah.
In 2009, Helsinki completely shifted its approach. The zero-tolerance era just ended.
They stopped spraying the pesticide.
Yeah. The city moved to a much more liberal stance, offering legal walls for graffiti writers, hosting public exhibitions, and fostering the integration of street art into public urban culture.
And the study recognizes a massive immediate shift, right? Once the threat of violence and severe criminalization was removed, there was a significant increase in active female participants.
Almost overnight.
Yeah. Furthermore, the paper identifies street art as a major platform for a contemporary feminist movement within the Helsinki scene.
When the valve of social control was released, the demographics of the subculture completely transformed.
The key takeaway here, regardless of your personal politics on graffiti, is the mechanism of control. A city's legal decisions physically alter the DNA of its culture.
Absolutely.
By forcing the scene underground, the city inadvertently engineered a highly specific, exclusionary environment. It is a wild realization that City Hall can accidentally create a hyper-masculine subculture just by changing how they deploy security guards.
Unintended consequences at a massive scale.
Truly. Okay, so we've looked at the massive indoor institutions and their power drills. We've explored the sanctioned, meticulously curated summer events on the streets. And we've dug into the underground visual clash over who gets to paint those streets.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. But finally, let's look at what happens when the visual art fades into the background, the sun sets, and the auditory art takes over. Let's explore the live music scene.
Oh, this is a great pivot. According to the guide from the Ras Gazette, the live music ecosystem in Helsinki is remarkably broad. It doesn't allow itself to be dominated by a single monolithic sound.
Which you can see just by looking at a handful of the venues they highlight. Like if you want a traditional quiet night out, you have a place like Molly Malone's.
A classic.
The guide describes it as leaning heavily into traditional pub vibes, focusing on acoustic folk, rock, and blues. It's intimate, it's relaxed.
But then if you travel across the city to a venue like Cooties Linja, you are in a completely different universe.
Totally different.
That venue is the pulsing heart of the cutting-edge electronic and underground hip-hop scenes. It is high energy, dark, and highly experimental.
And then on top of the clubs, you have the massive festival culture. Festivals are just a huge pillar of how Helsinki consumes music. You've got the Flow Festival, which draws huge crowds for indie and electronic. You have the Helsinki Festival, which is this multi-art experience combining theater and visual arts.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, but then there is the Tuska Open Air Metal Festival.
Ah, yes. A legendary event in the heavy metal world.
I mean, try to picture this contrast for a second. We just talked about how meticulously clean and organized Helsinki is. They literally plan partner dance lessons in the public square and hand out library tools.
Very civilized.
Right. And then right in the city, you have thousands of people dressed in black, head banging to screaming aggressive heavy metal at Tiska. On a Tuesday, you're listening to a guy with an acoustic guitar at Molly Malone's, and on Friday, you're in a mosh pit.
It's quite the spectrum.
It really is. What does this extreme contrast say about the Finnish cultural appetite?
I think it reveals a culture that is incredibly comfortable holding opposing forces at the exact same time. Helsinki doesn't force its residents to choose a single emotional lane.
That makes a lot of sense.
The Nordic stereotype is often one of, quiet, deep, brooding introspection. And while that certainly exists and is catered to by venues like Molly Malone's, there is an equal, officially supported need for high-energy, aggressive, cathartic release.
So they don't view acoustic folk and screaming heavy metal as enemies?
No, not at all. They view them as different tools. Just like the library offers both a novel and a power drill, the city's music scene offers a venue for every facet of the human emotional spectrum. It is a very holistic approach to urban living.
That is a fascinating way to tie it all together. So, looking back at the ground we've covered today, we started by admiring the futuristic underground domes of Amos Rex and the brilliant civic strategy of turning libraries into living rooms.
Right.
We stepped out into the summer sun to witness an explosion of physical theater and community dance. We unpacked the intense, decade-long clash over street art, discovering how a city's aggressive zero-tolerance policy inadvertently engineered a hyper-masculine subculture, and how releasing that pressure allowed new feminist voices to emerge.
What a journey.
Seriously. And finally, we explored a live music scene that just effortlessly balances quiet folk melodies with the roaring catharsis of a heavy metal festival.
And I think every single layer we've discussed today ultimately points back to a central underlying truth about urban life. Space and how it is controlled dictates culture. The architecture of a museum dictates how you interact with the art. The rules of a public square dictate who feels safe enough to perform there. And the policing of a brick wall dictates the gender demographics of the artist who painted.
It's all connected.
It really is. Look around your own neighborhood today. Look at the public squares, the libraries, the blank walls, and the music venues. What unwritten rules or official policies are secretly dictating who gets to create the culture you consume? Are there voices being pushed underground simply because of how the space is managed?
That is a phenomenal lens to view the world through, and it's something I am definitely going to be thinking about every time I walk through my own city.
It changes how you see everything.
It really does. And to you, our listener, we want to offer a very deliberate, warm, and sincere thank you. Thank you for bringing your curiosity today. We know your time is valuable, and we are just so grateful that you chose to spend it exploring the fascinating, multi-layered world of Helsinki alongside us. It is an absolute privilege to dive deep into these topics with you.
I echo that entirely. Thank you for your open mind, your dedication to learning, and for being such a vital part of this conversation. We truly appreciate you taking this journey with us.
Until next time, keep looking at the world around you just a little bit closer, and we will see you on the next deep dive.